So what can you do if this feels like your relationship? I want you to talk about it outside the bedroom. Don't wait until you're in bed, frustrated. Set time aside when the pressure's off. Timing is everything. You want to start with non-sexual touch. Rebuild comfort and closeness without the expectation of sex. You need to deal with resentment. Welcome to Mr. Health, Mind, Body, and the Bedroom, the podcast where we cut through the silence and get real about men's health. I'm Dr. Mike, certified sex therapist and men's mental health expert. Around here, we're not sugarcoating the tough stuff. From performance anxiety to porn use, to stress, depression, and intimacy, this is the place for honest conversations, practical tools, and strategies that actually work. If you ever thought, why am I the only guy dealing with this? You're not. You're in the right place. Let's dive in. Here's a stat most men don't want to admit. Over 20% of marriages are considered sexless. That means couples have sex less than 10 times a year. Now, if you're listening and thinking, yeah, that's me, here's the good news. A sexless marriage does not mean your relationship is doomed. It means something's off, whether it's stress, resentment, or disconnection, and pretending that it's not happening only makes it worse. So today we're breaking down the sexless marriage myth, why it happens, why it's not about you being unattractive or unworthy, and how to start reigniting intimacy without pressure or shame. When I talk to couples, here are the patterns that I see over and over again. Stress and exhaustion, careers, kids, financial pressure. By the end of the day, desire is wiped out. Resentment, old fights, never resolved, turn into walls in the bedroom. Routine, the relationship gets comfortable and intimacy takes the backseat. Performance anxiety. Fear of failure leads to avoidance, which creates more distance between you and your partner. Medical or hormonal changes, from testosterone shifts to menopause. Bodies change and so does desire. Totally normal. So if sex is slowed down or stopped in your relationship, you're not alone and you're not broken. It's common, but common doesn't mean that it has to stay that way. I worked with a couple, we'll call them Mike and Jenna. Married for 12 years, they haven't had sex in almost a year. Mike felt totally rejected. Jenna convinced she wasn't attracted to him anymore. Jenna felt the pressure every time he reached for her. So she pulled back even more. The cycle fed itself. The more Mike pursued, the more Jenna avoided. The more Jenna avoided, the more Mike felt rejected. And here we are on the hamster wheel, going over and over again. But here's the shift. When they stopped treating sex like a finish line and started focusing on connection, everything changed for them. They began with small, non-sexual touches, holding hands, cuddling on the couch, even sitting close while watching TV. These small things matter. Intimacy came back, slowly at first, but naturally. By removing the pressure, they created space for desire to grow again. When do couples stop having sex and don't talk about it? Here's what happens. Confidence tanks. One or both partners start wondering if they're undesirable. Distance grows. The bedroom becomes the elephant in the room. Silence and resentment builds. Affairs or escapes happen. Some partners seek connection elsewhere through porn, emotional affairs, even cheating. Although the conversation doesn't make it go away, it does make the silence louder. So what can you do if this feels like your relationship? I want you to talk about it outside the bedroom. Don't wait until you're in bed, frustrated. Set time aside when the pressure's off. Timing is everything. You want to start with non-sexual touch. Rebuild comfort and closeness without the expectation of sex. You need to deal with resentment. If unresolved issues are blocking intimacy, face them head on through conversation, therapy, or both. What I tell my couples all the time is what happens outside the bedroom, those fights about the garbage, the dishes, not pulling your weight as a parent, and you think that those things are isolated outside the bedroom, that shit comes right into the bedroom. And it shows up as resentment, it shows up as frustration, and that is not a recipe for intimacy and connection. So remember, intimacy is built, it's not demanded. So this is something that you will work towards consistently throughout your relationship. So here's a practical exercise. Here's your challenge this week. Set aside 20 minutes with your partner for non-sexual touch. This could be cuddling. It could be a massage. It could just be laying together with no agenda. Notice what happens when the pressure to perform is gone. You might be surprised how much closer you feel. A sexless marriage doesn't mean your relationship is over. It means intimacy needs attention. And the good news, with intention, communication, and patience, intimacy can be reignited. So if this episode hits home, hit subscribe, share it with another guy who's struggling silently. And remember, you don't have to face this alone. Next week, we're going to be talking about a whole host of men's issues. So stay tuned. I'm Dr. Mike, and this is Mr. Health, Mind, Body in the Bedroom. You're not broken. You're not alone. You're just ready for the truth. You've been listening to Mr. Health, Mind, Body in the Bedroom. If today's episode hit home, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an honest conversation about men's health. Share this with a friend who needs it, because the chances are he's struggling in silence. And if you're ready to go deeper, head over to MrHealth.com for courses, tools, and resources to help you build confidence in your mind, your body, and your bedroom. I'm Dr. Mike, reminding you, you're not broken, you're not alone, you're just ready for the truth.